on the decks. But let's start with the hoist. Obviously, the pole goes out first, you know, that way
Can
it's
you
not
put the
loaded.
pole out before you're at the weather mark? I've gotten conflicting stories.
Yes, you can.
Good. The class rules in a North American circuit regatta, which we don't have anymore, there's usually an offset mark, and by the really strict rules, the pole and the tack line has to be one continuous motion, and you cannot start the pole out until you've actually crossed the 90-degree point, the weather mark. But then as you can't do any sneaking or so. Now what we do out here is totally different. So out here, as long as you don't spear somebody, nobody's gonna say anything. But if you go to a real event, when you round that weather mark, you have to start hoisting in one continuous motion, or they'll flag you.
You can't cheat the kite out.
No, you gotta, what you do is you kind of preset the tack line, and you have the kite sitting over there kind of on the port side.
Yeah.
Or so, I mean, you know, the tack line is there, so that when you pull the pole out, the tack comes with it, and you end up with the tack line and the pole out at about the same time. But as you're doing that, you have to be hoisting. You can't have it all sitting out there, wait until the offset mark, and the guy pulls and does that, and they make, evidently the Europeans really don't like that, and so they started enforcing it in the U.S. So, and so if there's a judge or something like that, that violates the class rules or so. But around here, it's
Unfortunately, I don't have a crew strong enough to do that technique.
yeah.
I don't have a crew that can get.
It's not.
The pole gets loaded up.
If the tack line's partway in and it's set at the right point, it actually goes pretty well. But what you'll end up finding is you got to really wail on that tack line to get it made. Because as the kite's going up, you got to be pulling the tack line at the same time, and it isn't easy, but it's doable.
Right.
So
as a spinnaker flyer on my boat and watching the pole and the tack, I make sure that the pole goes up first, and then that one person goes right to the tack line, and being a spinnaker flyer, I want to get and chip them or whatever. I want to keep my crew on that rail as long as possible. So I go forward, and I used to make spinnaker bags for these jigs, right? And I took mine off. I found I need a bigger hole. You know, I need that kite to go down and not come out. You know, and so, and then the other thing is I really like is that when it's down there, it gives my eyes a chance to watch the tack come out, and there's separation, so I don't have a bundle falling out and landing in the water. And so I am down at the hole where they're pulling the tack line, and I'm feeding it out. And then as that the tack goes around the shrouds, and once it goes past the shrouds, I don't pay attention to it anymore. Okay? And now my responsibility is the head. And I'm now digging the head out, and that's when I'm yelling at John, hoist the halyard. And I literally hold the nylon and I feed it out by the corners. And then once I feel that the tack is out there and the head is probably, and this is the thing, it's getting past that lower set of spreaders, okay? Once the head's out past the lower spreaders, my responsibility is over, and I step back and I grab my spinnaker sheet. And usually by the time I get back there with that spinnaker sheet, it's up. Or should I say, it better be up. Okay? But that's kind of the sequence, and it's really, you know, that this job is a three-person job. And by having the pole go out first and set, then, you know, getting the tack line, and that, the most important thing is making sure that that tack patch gets out past those shrouds and approaching that lifeline up there. Now,
And your third person's doing the halyard.
exactly.
So one person's doing the pole and the tack, the other's doing the halyard, and you're
Right.
helping it and flying it.
Right, and now I've got some other tricks that I've been implementing on the boat. After sailing with, you know, beginners, I need to fix this. I need to solve this problem. And one of them is the J80's got a lifeline that's continuous all the way around, right? And, has anybody ever weighed their lifeline? Okay, so I took my cable off and I put a piece of spectrum, okay? It's actually, about 30% stronger than cable and weighs nothing.
Just don't go out of town.
It's class legal too.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Equivalent strength. You can change out any of the cables just on the lifelines, the equivalent strength. By the way, plastic coated cable,
It's a lot slippery.
plastic coated cable is no longer legal on offshore racing boats.
Because of rust.
You can't expect that.
You can't do it, you can't see it. So, but anyway, so I've got spectre up there, and what that spectre does, it's slippery. So that spinnaker rolls over the top of it there. The other trick I did, which is really, I love this shit. So I bought some 5/16 line, and I closed my front hatch, and I ran the line around and tied them up. I never had any sheets or hires or jib sheets tangled on that thing again.
Good idea, like that.
Just a piece of rope. And I've been trying to figure out a better way to do it, but the piece of rope seems to work the best. And so that would be something I would definitely put on my J. Because, you know, the guy that rolls up my jib, sometimes, you know, when it's time to roll it out, it's my job to unroll the jib. Let's go back to the cruise sequence real quick before we go up further. Anyway, so after I fly the chute, you know, I fed the chute out, and the tackle head are out of there. I go back to the jib sheet. I pop the chute inflates. The person that does my pole immediately slides over and does the roll from the jib. And he'll uncleat it, and he turns around backwards and uncleats the jib. Because sometimes I don't let the jib out. I forget. You know, now, on that forgetting note, in my spinnaker clinics, I believe it with my heart. It works every time on J22s. It works on J80s. If the jib is strapped in tight, you'll never have an hourglass, and you'll never have a foul, because that jib acts like a fender for that spinnaker to slide off past that bad boy and gone. The only mistakes that I've made with fouling the sheets and that kind of stuff is when the timing of getting the chute out of the boat is not good, and I use the jib off. That just compounds the problem of getting the tack all the way around. So the jib needs to stay strapped in tight. And it also helps bring the bow down on your turn. So I was out doing the spinnaker clinic, and I went on, what's her name? Roxanne's boat.
Roseanne.
Yeah, Roseanne, thank you very much. Anyway, I'm not saying that, but anyway. So the key is I cleaned the jib off, and I dumped the main, and I said, let go of the tiller. At the same time, ready? And she goes, okay. So I uncleaned the main, she let go of the tiller, the boat bore off 20 degrees. You know, right away. And I said, you see, the boat wants to do the job. All you have to do is follow it. And so, like, sometimes when you get to that weather mark, blow that main sheet and leave that jib in tight, the skipper all he has to do is follow that jib around, and that spinnaker will go right out and not interfere with anything and foul with anything, because that jib is like a big finger.
Even in heavy air, you don't need to let it out.
Oh,
You'll always-
especially in heavy air. So we used to rip the tacks off of J80 spinnaker. You know that? We used to, you know those tack patches, you know why they're that big? Is because a long time ago, back when we first started these J80s, we were all pre-feeding these spinnakers out, trying to get them past the bow hole, okay, with the jib in, that kind of stuff, because what we were all doing, we were all cracking the jibs and bearing off. Well, if the halyard didn't go up fast enough, and the tack went out, the tack hit the water, and it ripped the tack patch right off. Every time.
So back up, do you pre-feed your tack at all? You're getting the pole out and start pulling it.
Well, so after the pole's out, he should go right to the tack line, right? And so if we're still, a half bow length from the line, or from the weather mark, that tack patch will probably get to the lifelines, not any further.
Okay.
You know what?
If you go too far, it's gonna start to blow out on you.
Yeah. But in the process of turning and bearing off around the mark, that kind of stuff, that jib stays in tight. That's why I said, I don't even really, I fly the jib and I do the spinner. So, I just leave it plated. You know, which means that means that guy that's gotta roll it up, he's gotta turn on face backwards.
Do you have a separate person, and do you do the halyard up on the mast?
Do it on the mast.
So you've got a separate person up on the mast pulling the halyard?
Okay, yeah, so, I forgot the process. Okay, so, I'm flying the chute, the chute's out of the boat, we're all good. Gentleman that's doing the pole, and the tack line, is now rolled up my jib, and John, who had, hoisted the halyard, his job now is to come back to the cockpit and transfer that halyard from the mast to my deck. So he transfers that line to there, plates it off, goes back up there and pops it off the mast, and then we're ready for our douse. And as you can see, that jibe, the douse was looking pretty good. They released that halyard just fine. Even though it's supposed to be a jibe, not a douse. So that's the nice thing about having it back there in the back of the cockpit. All the crew gets to touch it.
Well, that's what I was wondering, is it almost seems like it'd be better to leave it on the deck if you're gonna hoist from the mast and drop it from the mast.
So I have, before we let it back, way back when, we used to have it on the mast. And what happens is if we all come in on port rounding to the little mark, right? And if the skipper is sailing a hotter angle, right, which happens, and he can't uncleat it, the foredeck person cannot, the mast is leaning back just 5 degrees, you can't uncleat the thing. So it's got to be at the back of the cockpit. And the other reason why jumping it at the mast, right, is that he can use his body weight when he's a little shy of getting to the top. You know what? And versus elbows in the back of the cockpit. You know?
What do you do when you're taking it down on starboard and it's all tack line, your halyard, and the chute's all coming in at the same place, same time?
So you ought to try something that's really kind of cool. Different douses. One of my favorite douses is just to blow the tack line and oversheet the clue and grab the nylon there, let the tack line, the pole go, all that kind of stuff, and bring the sail in that direction, starboard. The big thing is blow it away from
A windward takedown.
that's a lure takedown. If you're taking it down on the starboard side, that's a lure takedown. The weather
Like
takedown.
last night going into the lure mark, we probably all did starboard side takedowns, right?
Yeah. So you can make it clear out of the cockpit because so this tack line, pole, okay, he's done. This area is done, right? Except for the halyard, right? So all we have to do is reach around and grab nylon and then pop the halyard and bring it in.
So John, are you gathering the foot first and then down?
So I really go like that direction, diagonally through the sail. Not the foot, not the lead, just, that LP, just right through the diagonally through the foot. Just goes
When you
around.
blow the tack line, that unloads the front. and then you go right in
But
there.
I know what he's saying, because last night we had the same problem. It's like you got extra people right there, and I'm trying to reach it, and I can't get around them to grab the spinnaker. And it's because we got everything on the right side and so it's almost like we needed to be standing on the deck up there on the side to bring it down that way, just to get out of their way, right there.
The boat's set up for one-design racing.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
exactly.
But there's all kinds of ways to figure it. But I would just blow the tack line and just let it go. So the other thing I was teaching my experiment clinic for these Pearson 26s is when it was blowing about 15 to 18, so the boat's at hull speed going down, okay, hull speed. So we were right around in front of the club and we were just about to broach, and I just let go of the sheet completely and let the spinnaker just fly in front of the boat. Boat settled down, she's back in, took off again. No broach, no crazy. So on the J, you do that with the clue, with the sheet, and things get crazy. You let that sheet, it goes right into a broach, okay? But if you let go of the tack line, there is no broach. You won't wipe out, because all that nylon goes right behind the main, and it's easy to deal with. So like when you come down to these lure and mark roundings, that kind of stuff, weather douse or lure douse, if that tack line is completely gone, it's easy. So I learned this technique on my Benito 34. Claudia was dealing with some family stuff in Shreveport, and so she leaves me out here by myself for 3 or 4 days. So I get on that Benito, and I've got a spinnaker that's right at, what we figure, about 2,800 square feet, something like that. It's huge, asymmetrical, beautiful kite, right? And I've learned how to fly it by myself. And one of the things is that the tack line is the danger thing. It's dangerous. So it loads up, because that's the lump of the sail, that's where all the pressure is, and the clue is easy. So literally, my tack line on my Benito is this long. It's got a snap shackle on it, and it's got a rope about this long. And I can be sailing along. I got sailed all the way up to, I got Darren one day, and he said, I'm going to go into Devil's Cove and just tear it up. Watch all these power boats get out of my way. And I get down to the mouth of that thing, and the wind shifts east. West, of course, right? It shifts over there, and I can't make it. And I got the cliffs between, like, from here to A dock, into dock 1 there. And I was like, holy shit. Plated it, ran forward, pulled the trigger, shoot, just relaxed. Fell behind the main, pulled it all in, put it hard, no big deal. So I really think the tack line is a good oh shit thing. If things get bad, just blow that tack line. Because when the chute's turned inside out, it's hiding behind the main, or even if you're dragging it down on the windward side, it's so easy. So easy.
I've got a really long tack line on my boat, and I found that on like close reach douses, we just let it go and hold on to the clue. The spinner goes all the way, and it's now all of a sudden trailing behind the clue, and you just pull it in.
And then it's easy to grab it.
It's easy. It's unloaded completely. On really high wind reaches, it's really easy.
That definitely helps. And, which means if that tack line snags anywhere along that line, then there is.
Yeah, you gotta make sure it's ready to feed out, because it's gonna go in a hurry.
Yeah, it is what I do, I guess, you're right.
It was running. Hey, John, on sets. Now, let's say we're going into Mark 4 up there, and as it often happens, the wind swings 30 degrees to the south, where you don't want to be on starboard jibe. You want to be on port as fast as possible. You got any techniques for the way we're set up for a port jibe to instead launch on starboard?
No.
Because I've tried it once, trying to get it to blow through. One time it worked, one time it just went to hell.
There's really not a good technique of hoist and then not inflate and then drag it over.
Right. Or wrap around
Yeah.
something.
Everybody knows how to get out of an hourglass, right? How to get out of an hourglass?
Take it down.
Jump. Just jump. So if you ever get an hourglass, jump. You ever get an hourglass? It might happen. My spinnaker's getting to this age that he's starting to think about hourglass. When they're brand spanking new, they don't want hourglass too much. When they start getting some age on them, some miles, they just have a tendency to start hourglass. And so if you ever get an hourglass, and your crew hourglasses it, if a skipper runs the weather mark and sails too deep, right from the get-go, and causes that airflow on the backside of the main and cause that heavy load to rotate around, when you get an hourglass, just jibe over, and the hourglass will come out. Times it causes the heavy spinning other direction. So, but there's not really.
Try pulling first. Should you try pulling it out real quickly? No, just jibe.
Just jibe. I've sent people forward. I've released the halyard. I've done all that stuff. And if you don't have that, you don't have a snap shackle with a swivel, you're doomed. It will not come out. So
on a set, if it hourglasses, if you're, the guy hoisting looks up and sees it's got an hourglass, somebody yells at you, the best thing that we could, because we use them both, we've had tape snap shackles come loose or something. I mean, so the tape's a great idea. We obviously didn't use enough tape and stuff, but we've gone back to bowling. But if you continue to hoist and get it up there, then you have a permanent hourglass. But if the guy on the mast, before they fill the tank, you know, you're still back there, if you'll pump it up and down, it'll unspin. Usually it's about 3/4 of the way up, 2/3 of the way up, and you see that happening. You'll just work the halyard up and down. If you just keep hoisting, it's just gonna make that hourglass go permanent.
That's a good crew.
Yeah.
The guy hoisting is one that's gotta have.
But you can see it hourglassing over there, and usually it's a result of a weird takedown, or something happens. I mean, it just, you know, the devil